to make sure that it is not being misused?
You have the frameworks?
Yeah, I'd like you to suggest some even for our friend here.
We have our constitution there, and the laws of Rastafari also. And also we have the registered member of RSK. So we know they know how to partake it and how we train how, because it's our roots and culture. Because we fear curse than even be sentenced in jail. That's why we come here. A curse can even touch my fifth generation. So I cannot play with this because it's our way of our ancestors. Because also when the colonial came here, no one was willing to be a Christian, not everyone. So if they allow the constitution and that the Rastafari community being a part of Mau Mau and what, they should give us a chance and see. Because where I come from, even people call me doctor. And I'm using some remedy from that plant. I've seen people healing through. Glaucoma is good for that. Schizophrenia, they say, is a mind-mental problem. Marijuana can relieve that. Diabetes, the seeds are very good. Migraines, mental crap. You say university students are rising up, they're using a lot. Why? They are suffering mental crap, and they know when they take it, it cool down. It's you to re-educate the people because they are learned. When you push the evolution of mind, you develop the higher brains.
But there's also a risk of problematic use. Who stands most vulnerable in that case, in your experience?
Actually, in our experience, the young people are the most affected when you're talking about banking. In fact, if we do not do anything, and that's why I think we are doing a multi-agency approach and now doing what we call public education, and indeed using the evidence that is coming out to come up with ways in which we can not only reach these young people in institutions of basic learning institutions where we've come up with national guidelines on alcohol and substance use management that we've taken through teachers, and we have also taken to schools. Recently in 2026, just I think about a month or so ago, we were able to do wastewater analysis report that covered samples from across 12 counties in Kenya. And it actually showed that cannabis was actually the most used drug, I mean, from that particular study. So I think what we need to be aware, and that's why I think the Waki was asking us, what are some of the controls and regulations that need to be there? So all these things, we countries are, I mean, Kenya is a law-abiding country. Everything has to go through the law, come up with policies to actually push the same. And unfortunately, like we are saying, currently it is still illegal. So unless now that law is repealed so that it becomes legal, so that now you develop again regulations on how to take care of it. And regulations involve issues of sale, production, you know, supply and all that. It's much broader, it's much more complex. And of course, first of all, we also need to do studies because we find that it is becoming more popular amongst young people through peer pressure. From 2017 to 2022, when we did the study, the increase had jumped from 1% prevalence to 1.9%. And this is largely driven by a lot of misinformation and the low perception of harm that young people have of these other drugs. And of course, when we look at social media right now, I mean, many young people are being, you know, educated by that. They've allowed social media to be their doctor. They've allowed influencers to be their scientist. And you find that there's a lot of misinformation, and therefore it's becoming popular. They think that this is a good thing, but eventually it causes so much harm. So that's why we need to counter those myths with now facts, so that we can help young people to remove this notion that this thing is good, it's going to make me creative. You know, they think like it's good to increase my creative capacity, but the truth is, like, when you're talking about THC, initially in the primary action, somebody feels less anxious, somebody has this heightened keen sense of smell and taste, and therefore will eat and might become a bit more active. But later on, that kind of anxiety that they had reduced now increases. Now this person becomes a bit paranoid. They cannot follow through a task. Memory becomes an issue. That's why when we look at educational outcomes, you find that they perform poorly in class. Not to say that cannabis will, sometimes people think like, if I take cannabis, then I'll pass in maths or physics. But when we talk about memory, we find that they fail. Not to again say that those who take fail or those who don't take then are much more brighter. Mm-hmm. We are not looking at an individual. When we're looking at when we look at collectively, you see that collective data, you'll find that one thing that will be for sure, that educational outcomes are going to drop as a result
and
of
collectively this. Here, I think we all agree with Dr. Joanne when she gave the analogy of fire.
Yeah.
I think that made sense to all of us, that there's good and there's also
everything
has its good and its
bad.
Yes.
And you talked about